Hello and welcome to the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. My name's Ali and this is my fortnightly roundup of all of the crochet and knitting I've been up to and other crafty stuff thrown in as well. You can find me on Ravelry as Starry Eyes Ali and for the time being on Instagram too, though I'm considering coming off of that, but I'll talk about that later. So let's get started. Did you like what I did there? I did a little intro and then I did the kind of titles. It was kind of like roll titles. Just thought I'd try something a bit new. This is a really thrown together podcast today because I knew if I didn't film it today, I wouldn't film it for at least a couple of weeks. So I've got the very bare basics of notes and we'll see how it goes. Everything you need to know that I talk about, links and chapters, are underneath in the description box, so you can jump about to any sections if you want to come back and find something I mentioned. And just thank you ever so much for being here, and thank you for your comments and likes and lovely suggestions, tips and things from the last episode, and for that matter on all of my episodes. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Let's get stuck in. I'm going to talk about finished objects, works in progress, and I'm going to focus on blankets this episode. I'm going to announce the Q2 winner of the Amigurumi Along and a new whip in that section as well. I'm going to try not to explain things in advance too much. I'm just going to complicate it. Some incoming bits. I'm going to talk about some books and stuff that I'm reading and listening to and watching. And then right at the end and finally, we're just going to have a little chat of anything I've forgotten. But first of all, we need to get started on finished objects because I'm wearing it and it's too hot to wear it. So we need to talk about it so I can take it off. This is my featherweight cardigan. I am so happy with it. It's finally finished. Now I know that brown and blue, actually I don't mind it. It's not exactly matchy, but the black vest that I had was a bit too low cut. Didn't feel very comfortable in it. So I'm also going to insert some footage of me, twirling about in it so you can get a good idea. But I'm also going to stand up to talk about it so that you can see it. So it sits just here. So here are my jeans. Here's the waist. So it sits on my hip basically. After blocking, it went to the absolute perfect length. It's the featherweight cardigan pattern by Hannah Fettick, who is Knitspot. I made it in 3 different yarns by Third Vault Yarns. Mazikeen, which is the main colour you can see on the band here, and all of the cuffs. Oh, how am I going to do this when I'm wearing it? Mazikeen, and then a new dye lot of Mazikeen, which is this one. And then another one of a kind colourway, which she did, which is this one, which is called Coffee. Well, there you go, on the arm. Coffee, Mazikeen 2, Mazikeen 1. And I couldn't be happier. I'm so thrilled to bits with this. The arm length is exactly how I like it. The length is exactly what I wanted. I will wear this a lot, just not on days when it's already 20 degrees. So this will be coming off when I can't bear it any longer. What do I want to say about it? Yes, the yarn that I used is, so 3 100 green, words, speaking. 3 100 gram skeins of fingering weight, or as we call it in the UK, 4-ply yarn. And of those, the coffee colour, I have 53 grams left. Mazikeen 2, 40 grams left, and Mazikeen 1, I've got only 3 grams left, and that is because I used that one as the overriding colour for all of the cuffs. So the collar, which goes all the way round and down, the bottom and the cuffs on the arms as well. So I used that most. So in total, that means I used 827.75 metres. So that's just under 2.5 skeins, isn't it? So that's really, really good. You could easily make a bigger one out of 3 skeins, have it a bit longer, have the arms a bit longer if you wanted. And I will be doing that because I just loved making this. I love the pattern and it's something I will definitely wear. I'm really glad that I made it in these colours because I like how these colours look. I'm happy to wear them. glad I didn't make it in a colour I'd be less likely to wear. I think that's the danger sometimes. I've got so much yarn that's beautiful, but perhaps I wouldn't suit me as a colour. So yeah, I'm delighted. So hopefully I've been putting in some footage. I haven't taken it yet of me twirling about, so you can get a good idea of how the whole finished thing looks. I just wanted to mention the bind off actually as well. I had a bit of trouble doing the bind off for the collar bit. Everything I tried, but the first time I bound the whole lot off and it was too tight. I just did a basic bind off where you knit one, pass it over, knit one, pass it over. Too tight, and it like bunched everything up at the front. And then I tried doing it where you do knit one, yarn over, knit one, then you pass the yarn over and the previous knit stitch over. But then that was too loose, it was really flaring. So I put a little call out to some knitty friends, and it was Claire of Bird Street. She was the one that came up with it. She said she does the yarn overs, not after every stitch, but every few stitches. I was like, aha. So I did that and it worked perfectly. So now, thank you so much, Claire, for suggesting that. That worked a treat. I'm so happy to have this finished. I'm going to try and keep it on for as long as I can, because, you know, it's not often that you see me actually wearing finished knitted or crocheted things on the podcast. That is my one and only finished thing, but I think it's quite an impressive one and only finished thing. So we're going to talk about some whips as well. I feel like I've just really sort of run headlong into this podcast without much of an introduction. I should say I haven't got a cup of tea with me today because we've got new carpet in our bedroom and I feel a bit precious about it, and I don't want any drinks in my bedroom. I film in my bedroom. I used to film in the kitchen, but the fridge makes too much noise. There's a weird light in the living room, and I just started podcasting up here because everybody was at home during lockdown, and I've just kind of stuck with it. And now it's so lovely up here. Well, we were just saying last night how lovely it was to have the bedroom completely finished. Wardrobes are done. Love my wardrobes. Walls are painted. I've restored all our fireplace. And we finally got the new carpet. And then last night, one of the skirting boards fell off the wall. Just fell off the wall. So I've had to call the carpenter that fitted it. And he was like, don't worry, I'm sure I can fix it. But I'm like, but we've got new carpet and I don't want to ruin the carpet. Oh, it all happened as we were putting Phoebe to bed as well, of course. Nothing's ever simple, is it? Nothing is ever simple. And I don't even want to talk about how messy my house is and how overwhelmed I am by that at the moment. We're having such a massive... It feels like we're sorting every room in the house out at the moment, and it's just generating mess and chaos. I'm sure it'll be fine once it's done, but I can't see an end in sight at the moment. Anyway, there you go. I've had a ramble now. I feel a bit better, like I haven't raced into the podcast headlong. Works in progress. Now, I have a bit of a work in progress problem, and I try not to judge myself for it. I try to just go with the flow in it. And last time I kind of focused on all of my sock whips and plans. So this time I thought we'd look at blankets. I thought we'd focus on blankets so you don't get bored just looking at my same whips all the time. So I've gathered up all the blankets that I've got on the go to talk about. So the first one I wanted to mention is Phoebe's granny stripe blanket, which I mentioned a couple of episodes ago. It's just a basic granny stripe blanket using the pattern by Attic 24, which I'm sure we all know. And I've got a load of gorgeous minis that were a gift and from a lovely viewer of this podcast. And I cast on a blanket specifically to make a little crochet blanket for Phoebe, but I think I got a bit carried away and it is way, way, way too long. And that means that, well, first of all, it's going to be way too big when it's finished. And second of all, it's boring to work on because the rows are too long. I don't like picking it up and taking like an hour to do a row. Well, it doesn't take quite that long, but I want it to be a bit more satisfying than that. So I said I was going to frog it, which I'm still intending to do, but I had quite a few suggestions. A couple of people suggested just doing it so that the length of it, so this would have been the width of it that way, and changing that to the length of it and then just working until like that. But I didn't like the idea of that. It wouldn't, my brain wouldn't have computed it properly, and I still would have been stuck with the problem of working really long rows, which I'm finding boring. Oh, have I dropped some yarn? No. And then a couple of other people suggested that I could unpick from the one end to unravel back, which I could if I had changed my yarns at the same point every time, but sometime, oh no, hang on, no, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, so the suggestion was that I unravelled back to a certain point and then kind of wove in the end so that I didn't have to unravel it, but that just plays with my little brain a bit too much, the thought of doing that. I might give it a go, because if it goes wrong I'll just end up frogging it, which I would have done anyway. So I think I am going to frog that and start again making it a bit smaller, because it's not getting worked on at all, so I'd rather frog it and then whoop, start working on it rather than it just sit in a beautiful bag. This is a lovely bag with owls on it, which was made by Arminty, who's been a long time friend and lovely supporter of this podcast. I think she sent this to me when we did a swap, but I can't remember. But I love this bag, it's so roomy. So that's the first blanket. The next one is my very, very long term corner to corner moss stitch crochet blanket. That's a lot of words to describe one project. So the pattern I'm using, it's a free tutorial by Polly Plum, who is Every Trick on the Hook. So if you Google Every Trick on the Hook, corner to corner moss stitch, that's the instructions I'm using. And it looks like this. It's a scrappy project. I started at this end. I kind of regret starting with this quite dark. It's a lovely yarn. I think it's called Hot Chocolate with Marshmallows or something. But I think because the brown isn't so spaced out, because it was in such a small area, it looks quite dark. But I don't let it bother me. It is a scrappy project after all. This is how it's looking. I really love how it's looking. It's going to be fabulous when it's finished. And what you do is you keep going until one edge is about the right width, and then you start to work up until it becomes the right length, and then you close it down again. It's a rectangle basically, and I have now reached the point, I think, where I'm going to start turning it into a rectangle. Have I already started turning it into a rectangle? Yes, I have. So you can see here I have a corner where it's starting to come up. So yeah, but I haven't worked on this in ages, and I really need to. This has now become quite a long-term project. I think I've been working on it for at least 4 years now, and I need to put some effort into it. But there's so many other things to work on, and every time I find like I have a mini or a little end bit from where I've been working on a project, or someone's given me a mini where I think, ooh, I'm going to put that into my corner to corner crochet. Look at this one. It's a lovely orange one, green, pesto and pumpkin they're called. I've got all kinds of different ones in here, and I just put them in my bag, which is a bag that I got when I did a swap with my friend Hannah, of Hannah from Sheep's Alley. This is a really typical Hannah bag and I love it. It's got crochet doilies, it's got beads, it's got tassels, it's got buttons, it's got lace, it's got pockets. I just love it. Makes me very happy, this bag. So I really do need to work on it. I love it, and I'd love to see it finished, because I think it creates such a lovely drapey fabric, the moss stitch, the crochet moss stitch, and it really is a good stitch for showing off yarns. This is my favourite one by far. So in the blanket, I don't know, there you go. You see that kind of greeny, pinky, orangey one? That was a mini, a one-off mini by Gamer Crafting. I picked it up at a yarn show, and I remember asking her, I think at the time, you know, oh, have you got like big skeins of this? And she said no, it was just one of those ones that she did as a one-off. I love that colour. So that is my corner to corner moss stitch crochet blanket. Very long term and needs to be worked on, because at the moment it lives, all of these blanket projects live behind the cuddle sofa, the large shop armchair we've got in the front room, and they're taking up more room than the actual blankets that we use. So I need to finish them so we can start to use them. I then have 3 ugly blankets on the go. Now, ugly blankets I have, oh, that's my hook. This is the hook I'm using for my blanket that I've just shown you, and I love it. I love hooks with Fimo polymer clay handles. This is by an Etsy seller that no longer sells on Etsy, but she was one of the first people I bought yarn from, I remember she was based in Ireland. And that's an aside. What was I saying? Ugly blankets. Yes, 3 ugly blankets. So I've talked about these before. I've got one completed ugly blanket, which is in Phoebe's room. And I've always done it ever since I started crocheting over 10 years ago now. Whenever I have scrappy bits at the end of a project that are just too small to go in any other project, or too ugly or too scrappy, or, you know, it's just not going to get used in any other project, they go into the ugly blankets. So I finished one ugly blanket and I started another. So this is the current, so I've got 3, and this is the heavier weight ugly blanket. It's mainly acrylic yarn because I had a big clear out, had loads of odds and ends of acrylic or stuff that I'd frogged. It wasn't good enough to send to a charity shop, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I started another ugly blanket. So for example, I've got like stuff like this. You know, that's not going to go to a charity shop, it's just going to end up in the bin. So instead, it's going to form part of my ugly blanket. Just a random tiny bit of pink acrylic yarn. Nobody's really going to use that. It's not even big enough to make like something for a doll or something, but it will do a good few granny clusters in my ugly blanket. And this is how it's looking. And the idea of these is there's no judgment at all. Don't care what it looks like, don't care what order it goes in, don't care if it's black or white, which are colours I wouldn't normally put into like a project at all. So I've got a whole thing of white left over from when I did my multiplication blanket. That's a DK, I don't know why I'm showing it to you in a blue bag. That's a DK acrylic white, which is just not going to get used for anything else. This is a bulky weight pure wool left over from a baby blanket I made Phoebe, which would have been 10 years ago now. And it's all, you can't see, but it's all tied together. It's all really small bits tied together and so on. And normally I wouldn't make a blanket with lots of white or lots of black in it, but the ugly blanket doesn't care. The ugly blanket accepts all weights, any colour, any shade. Like also that horrible fleshy colour, orangey fleshy colour, that was from a kit that I had of awful acrylic yarn, and I knew I was never going to use it, so I just bunged it in the ugly blanket. There is no judgment. The ugly blanket does not judge. And that is my heavier weight ugly blanket. It's all living in an old Kath Kidston oilcloth bag, and I keep that just under my side of the bed because if I ever couldn't sleep or wasn't very well, this is about the extent of what I could work on. It doesn't get worked on much, to be honest, because like I said earlier, there's so much other things to be making, but it's just pure joy and pleasure really, because it's just crocheting for the sake of crocheting and for the sake of enjoying it and seeing the yarn getting used up and having a purpose. That's why I love the ugly blankets. Now, when I say no judgment, there are limits. So I started a 4-ply weight or fingering weight ugly blanket as well, because I thought I had a lot of leftover hand dyed stuff or just, you know, commercially dyed fingering weight stuff, and I thought, well, I'll put that into its own blanket rather than mixing up the weights. In my original ugly blanket I put all weights in, from lace weight to bulky, and this time I just wanted to differentiate by weight. I'm not sure if I put that in the right way, but you get what I mean. So this is all living in my lovely lobster bag. This is by a lovely lady who watches this podcast called Suzanne. Hi Suzanne. And she knows I love lobsters, and she makes the most amazing bags. And this is the perfect home for 2 more ugly blankets. So first of all, by the way, they're called ugly blankets because they're a mishmash. But Phoebe does tell me off, and she says that I shouldn't call them ugly blankets, they're lovely blankets. And this is my fingering weight one. So I started this, no judgment, same thing, but obviously because I'm using tiny, tiny scraps of hand-dyed yarn and it's all the same weight, it started to look quite nice. So then I started to feel maybe a little more judgy about it and a little less relaxed. I still just put it in any old how, got quite a few ends to weave in. I do try to stay on top of my ends as I go. Yeah, still just bung them in any old how, tiny bits, longer bits, whatever. But I was thinking, actually, by the time this is finished, this is going to look pretty good. I quite like it. And then I started to have scraps of this weight yarn that were much darker. So I had some left over for some socks that I made for Dan, which is black and yellow like a bumblebee. I had some that someone gave me, which is a beautiful blue colour that I wanted to put into a blanket, and actually I might actually put this in my corner to corner moss stitch blanket. Actually I might move that over there. And then I had some grey and some bright orange left over from some Lucifer themed socks that I made Dan, and so on. And I started to think, well, I don't want to put really dark grey and bright orange and green and things like that into my beautiful delicate looking blanket. So I started another ugly blanket. So I've now got my heavier weight ugly blanket, my 4-ply light blanket, and my 4-ply dark blanket. So I'm going to have a really dark ugly blanket, a really light ugly blanket, and a bulkier weight ugly blanket. And every time I get a bit, I just separate them. I've got 2 bags, one for dark bits and one for lighter bits. And then my friend Lily, who lives in Norway, she sent me a couple of magic knot skeins, and I didn't know what to do with them. And then I thought I could put them maybe in my pretty one, because that would really, really be a good use of this and it would look amazing. Or I could just use this as a standalone project, because this would also be amazing as a shawl, wouldn't it? Oh, now I don't know. Oh, indecision. Put it away so I don't have to think about it. Okay, so those are the ugly blankets. And then I have a blanket in waiting that I wanted to show you. Again, lovely, huge bag. This was from a swap that I did with Marta, Auntie Marta. Look at how big it is. Oh my goodness, this is perfect blanket bag. And in here I've got some very precious yarn that I have been holding on to for the longest time. It's cotton, it's sparkly, and it's a Aran weight, I think. I'm sure that Christina, who dyed this, put in what it was, but I can't find the tag at the moment. Anyway, the colour, and I've got so much of this. I've got some balls of it, and I have got some skeins of it. I've got lots and lots of it. And this was dyed by a lovely lady called Christina, who is so sweet and so lovely. And the colourway name is called Phoebe Sparkles on a Stormy Day. Isn't that amazing? It looks like sparkles on a stormy day. So it was named for Phoebe, and she sent it ages and ages ago. And my initial thought was, because it was cotton, to make like a toy, like a teddy bear or something for Phoebe. But it's such precious yarn. She's dyed so much of it, and it's beautiful, and the colours are so lovely, and it was dyed with Phoebe in mind, that a bear didn't seem enough of an heirloom project. I wanted it to be something she would have with her whole life, knowing that it was made for her and that she could use it. And I wasn't sure a bear would fit the bill, so now I'm thinking I'm going to make her a cotton blanket. I just don't know quite how much I've got, but I've got a lot. Let me pick it all up. We'll just I have all of this. So it's quite a lot, and I think it would be enough to make a nice little lap blanket for her, so she could have that to take in the car. You know, one day when she's older, she might go to university, she could have that, you know, because it's cotton, it'd be quite warm, but also she could have it in the summer months. So I'm putting, oh, there's another one here that I didn't pick up as well. So I've got absolutely loads of it, and I'm looking for pattern ideas. A nice pattern. I've never knit a blanket, but I'm not adverse to it. So a nice knit or crochet blanket pattern that I could use as a lap blanket, to use this precious yarn to make a blanket for Phoebe. I just realised that that other blanket's for Phoebe as well. I think maybe I need to swap that and make one for Lilia. But she prefers socks. She likes blankets, but she really likes it when I make her socks. So that is my final, well, that's my blanket in waiting. let's move on to an update on the Amigurumi Along. Now, don't worry if you're not joining in with this, because there's plenty to listen to that I think you'll find interesting. We're going to announce the winner. This is going to run for the whole year, this make along. It's knitted 3D things and crocheted 3D things. It's called the LDOWAmiAlong. That's the hashtag. There's a thread for it on Ravelry. It's still really, really busy in there. People chatting and posting the most amazing projects. It's such an inspiring place. I wanted to share a few of my favourites that I was looking at. So I wanted to give special mention to a pattern that's come up quite a few times, and that is Paul the Toadstool. Melissa, who is Mad Ninja Hooker, made 5 of these, and the most recent one in the group is by Catherine, who is Sildara. She made one. And then this morning, when I was in there drawing a winner for this quarter, for the end of June, I spotted a trio of cactus, and that was made by Jeanette, who is GST Martin, and I just really like those. They were so good. They're really, really fantastic. So the winner for quarter 2, I asked our friend Alexa to draw a random number between 2 and whatever the last number post was in the group. She drew 631, and that was Rabbit Lady. Her name is Ruth, and oh my goodness, what a creation to have won a prize for the end of this quarter. It's amazing. It's a knitted toy. The pattern is called Frog and Toad, because you get the pattern for a frog and a toad, and it's by Christina Ingrid McGowan. And I don't really knit toys, I crochet them. That's my preferred way, and I think, Ruth, you said the same. You normally crochet toys but gave the knitted one a go, and oh my goodness, it's amazing. I love it. I love that so much. I'm so glad that that won a prize. There's a slight problem with your prize though. So first of all, I'll get your pattern. So if you can choose any amigurumi pattern on Ravelry up to what, £10, let's say. So any amigurumi pattern you want. Last time I gave away a copy of the Octo, the Dabbling Hook Octo, for the end of quarter 1. But this time I'll let you choose. So choose any amigurumi or knitted toy pattern up to the value of £10. Let me know which one you'd like, and I will gift that to you. And you can do that on Ravelry, or I can, if there's another way to do it, like if you want me to buy it for you via Etsy or something like that, just let me know. And then I'm going to send you a book as well. But if you don't mind, I'm just borrowing your book until I send it to you, because it's this one which was donated to the podcast as a prize. And it is Edward's Menagerie Birds. These are brilliant books. I've got the other one. I've got a couple of her other ones actually, where you can. It's kind of a bit mix and match, and there's a baseline of patterns, and you can make the patterns in the book, or you can make stuff up and so on. And this is really, really good. It really follows that same format, and it's fantastic. And I have put it aside as a prize. But then I started to make one of the patterns from it. Don't worry, I haven't written in it or anything like that. I've got a little post-it note that I've been writing on. So I have started to make Sophia the Flamingo. So you'll have to wait until I finish Sophia the Flamingo, and then I'll send you your book. But if you could get in touch with me and give me your address, please, Ruth. So this is what I'm making. There she is. Now, the problem I came up against, I was going great guns, and I'm really pleased with what I've done actually. I made the body, and we've had a discussion before about wobbly necks in amigurumi. So this is the basic body here, and then got the long neck, because obviously it's a flamingo, and then I've got to make the beak and stuff. But you'll notice, no flopping at all. What I did was I got some clay. I have really mouldable, quite thick wire that you can use for clay sculpture and modelling. What does that mean? Why have I got a warning? I don't know what that means. I'm going to have to check. I have no idea what it means. We're just going to keep going until it starts flashing red or something. Anyway, so I've got this wire. It's quite thick. It's really mouldable. I wound it round into a kind of base, and I stuffed a bit of the bottom, and then I sort of wound stuffing all round the wound up bit of wire and stuffed that in, and then stuffed all around it. And then it was really, really hard, but I crocheted the whole neck whilst the wire was still sticking out the top. Then I cut it and did the same. I just sort of wound it round to form like the size of a 50p in a circle, and I made sure that there were no ends pointing up but only down, nothing sharp to poke out, and I wound all my stuffing around it, and then I stuffed all around it. So not only do I now have a completely solid neck, but it's closable because it's bendy wire. So once I've got the beak on and everything, it can look like a quizzical flamingo. So I'm really pleased with how that worked. And I might in the future, if I can, do a tutorial on how I did that, because I'm so thrilled with it. But that was the last bit of that wire that I had, and I've had it for years, so I don't know where I got it. So I need to work out where to get it again first. It literally is just a type of wire that you would use if you were doing a clay sculpture, to use as a base so you get the right shape. So it's not much to look at yet, and I've started making a leg as well. So this is one of its legs, and I've got to the point where I need to do its claws. But the problem is the claws are black. I crochet mainly in the evening and I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm going to have to find some time in the day to finish that. I was hoping to have it finished for this weekend, because we're having a family get together which is themed around flamingos. It's kind of like, it's our Christmas that we didn't get to have because of lockdown in the Christmas just gone. And we've kind of themed it around flamingos. We've got quite a lot of flamingo stuff about the house at the moment. I thought, oh, I'll make one, you know, with 5 days to go. It was never going to happen. Never going to happen. I'm hoping to at least get his beak on so he can look a bit flamingo-ish by Saturday. So anyway, where was I going with that? So that is your prize, Ruth. Get in touch with your address. Best way to get in touch with me is via email, which is littledropsofwonderful@gmail.com. I also wanted to say that to make my flamingo, I'm using a different type of hook. So a couple of episodes ago, Rell, who's the dabbling hook, tagged me to talk about things to do with crochet hooks. And I realised at that point, despite crocheting for over 10 years, I'd never really given my tools much of a thought. I just had hooks, you know, didn't really think about it. And I met up with my lovely friend Sarah, who is Yarn Mugs here on YouTube. She has a lovely podcast and she's so lovely to listen to. She's got such a lovely voice and she is genuinely just the loveliest human. And we met up in St Albans. We had a lovely day. We walked around Waterstones. We had a gorgeous lunch and it was just lovely. And she gave me some hooks to try because she's got the whole set and she gave me the spares. And they are these Addy ones. Oh, I can't remember what they're called. Addy weird looking ones. That's what they look like, toothbrushes. When I first opened the bag, I was like, why is she giving me some toothbrushes? What's she trying to tell me? But they're crochet hooks. So I've been making my flamingo. I've got a warning light now. It's gone red. I'm going to have to go and have a cup of tea and let my camera cool down. So this is what they look like toothbrushes. And I use this to make my flamingo, and I'm using a worsted weight cotton, and this is a 2.5mm hook, so as you can imagine that's quite hard going. And yes, it's nice. I have to keep reminding myself not to be up here with it, which is where I tend to be, and to be down here with it. But yeah, it's good, there's flexibility in it, it kind of moves when you do that. And because I'm crocheting quite tightly, that really helps. So thanks so much, Sarah. I'm really enjoying discovering all these new hooks. Rell herself had sent me a couple of new hooks to try as well, and I've tried one of them so far, but I can't believe that it's taken like other people to get me to try different hooks and try different things. So thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you, Rell, for the hooks you sent me previously as well. Okay, is that everything on the Amigurumi Along? Oh, no, one last thing before my camera explodes. I have to turn it off for a bit and go and have a cup of tea because I've got the overheating thing has come up. I just wanted to say that my very first pattern, which I said I would never do, is now available on Ravelry. Not Love Crafts, no, because it was rejected from Love Crafts. I have been rejected by Love Crafts because I didn't, what was it they said? I didn't recommend yarn that they sold. It wasn't a horrible way, they just sort of give you suggestions so you can come back with edits. I didn't recommend yarn they sold, and I didn't provide finished measurements, so I have to try and do that. But it's really difficult because my pattern is for my Little Drop of Wonderful. So here it is, Little Drop of Wonderful. That's it in the worsted weight size. This is it in DK, and this is it in 4-ply weight. So it depends on what yarn you use, and it depends on what hook you use, and it depends on your gauge for the finished measurements, but I will try to give a guide. But it's available on Ravelry, and I'll stick it in my Etsy shop as well so that you can go and get it in those two places, just in case you don't use Ravelry, because my goodness, that new design. I mean, I don't suffer from any of the things that people are suffering from, which must be awful, but the new design, oh my goodness, I don't like it. I click on the wrong thing all the time, the little symbols, I can't tell what they mean. Oh, I'm not getting into it. I'm not getting into it, but that site just feels really clunky now. Yeah, so just in case, I'll stick it in my Etsy shop, seeing as I've been rejected from Love Crafts. And the idea behind this is that they can be either just a little gift to give to someone to show how much of a little drop of wonderful they are and how much you appreciate them, or just for fun, or to make yourself a little friend, or if you don't put eyes on them, you can use them as a stress toy and throw them at things. I just throw it at a pillow, which kind of doesn't really matter, or give them a good squeeze and things like that. So I'll put the link to the pattern underneath. That is my very first pattern, very exciting. I hope you like it. It's only £2 at the moment. I might put it up. I've had quite a few messages saying I should, but for the moment, because it's new, £2. Now I'm going to let my camera cool down for a bit, but you won't notice because I'll only be gone for a split second. I am back with some incoming things. I made the mistake of stuffing a load of malt loaf in my mouth, so now I've got that stuck in my teeth. Anyway, hopefully you can't see that. I had a lovely gift from Linda, who's a lovely viewer of this podcast for a long time. She's always so encouraging and lovely. Thank you, Linda. She sent a lovely gift and a few little bits, and I just wanted to show you the yarn that she sent me, but also something that she made. And I don't know, Linda, if this is an actual pattern or if you just made it up, but I think you said in your card she was called Henrietta Cluck. I can't find a pattern by that name, so I'm assuming that's just what you've christened her. And she's a tiny little chicken. Look at Henrietta Cluck. I love her so much. So Linda, please let me know in the comments if this was a pattern, because I'd love to have a go. It's so perfect, the yarn that you've used for the chicken. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So this is going to take pride of place somewhere. I've put all my little drop... Oh, look, you can't see them. I didn't position them very well. Whoops. Let's move them along. You can see them now. I put all my little droplets up here so you could see them. And I will add Henrietta Cluck to the mix there. So thank you for that, Linda. Because we're getting chickens in August, our chickens are coming. Our girls will arrive, so we're frantically trying to get our garden kind of ready. The girls' trampoline has gone. They requested that they have a swing instead, so that's gone. We've had to dig out a load of stuff. Very nervous but very excited, and I will be vlogging, I'm sure, about our chicken adventures over on my vlogging channel, which is This Little Wonderful Life. The latest vlog at the moment on that channel, I was sharing all the dinners that we had over the course of a week, so I'll put a link to that underneath. Anyway, this is the yarn that Linda sent. It is, she said, it's by her favourite dyer of self-striping yarn. The colour is called Van Gogh's Sunflowers, which is a painting that Phoebe, my youngest daughter, absolutely loves. And the dyer is Desert Vista Dye Works. And look, isn't that perfect? If you know the, which I'm sure you do know the picture, Van Gogh's Sunflowers. Those colours are perfect. This is going to make tremendous socks. Thank you, Linda. That was a really, really nice gift. Thank you. And also, what else did I want to show you? Oh yeah, lovely Claudia, my partner in crime with the dodgy bag mail, which ended last month, is, she sent me a few little bits from her side of the world. She sent me some lovely fabric and bits and bobs, and she really, really treated me to some of her badges. Claudia sells a lot of buttons and things in her Etsy shop. And she gave me some lobster fabric, keepsake calico quilt fabric, lobsters on because I love lobsters, and she sent me some other gorgeous fabric as well, and she sent me a pattern. Oh, I just noticed that. Oh, hang on. So this is, it looks like, oh no, there's a few different, see, oh, I didn't notice there was a few different options. Oh, how exciting. So it's a pattern for a few different options for bags. looks like a knot bag and like a shopping bag, and then a hook roll. Oh, amazing. Oh, have fun doing those. Thanks, Claudia. And I didn't spot this before, but I'm going to have to give this to one of my girls. Oh, no, actually, I'm not giving it to the girls. I'm going to keep this and put a project in it. In case you don't know, this is a Hamilton-themed yarn bag. So Claudia works for Lady Di Yarns, and they do a lot of clubs and collaborations and things with a theme, and I missed it because I'm stupid and I don't pay attention enough, and I don't go on Instagram enough. I said I was going to mention this. I haven't posted since April, so I'm thinking of just coming off Instagram, because it's just another thing that I have to tick off on a to-do list and to manage, when actually I don't have the time to do it. And also, it's so much advertising on Instagram at the moment, and it feels like Facebook did before I came off Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore, and I don't miss it a jot. And Instagram feels like it's going that way. I think Facebook do own Instagram, don't they? So I'm thinking of following in my friend Cherie's shoes, who's Ollie and Bella, and just deactivating my account. Because I don't use it, and it's just a source of stress then, because I have to keep checking it, but I don't use it. And that doesn't really sit well with the kind of balance that I'm trying to find in my life, especially in trying to simplify my online life, she says, when she's got 2 YouTube channels. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. So if I suddenly disappear, it's because I've deactivated my account. But you can always reach me if you need to on my email address underneath or here. There you go. Yeah, so this is amazing. It's a Hamilton theme. Did I say that? Yeah, so it's a Hamilton theme. And we are big Hamilton fans. We love, my girls are both really, they're drama school kids. They love their drama clubs. They love doing drama at school. They go to drama school on a Saturday. We listened to the Hamilton soundtrack pretty much the whole of last year. And it means a lot to us. The stage show means a lot to us that we watched on Disney. We would like to go and see it as a family. The songs have meant a lot to us, and yeah, so thank you, Claudia. Claudia knows that we're big fans, so it was really, really kind of her to send that, which she'd held on to from when they did the Hamilton themed stuff, and there was yarn and everything, and Claudia designed stickers for it. And she held on to some stickers, so these are going to the girls. Well, I didn't have any choice in that, they've already stolen them. So these are all lines from the show. So we've got Rise Up, Immigrants, We Get the Job Done, Talk Less, Smile More, Young, Scrappy and Hungry. Whenever I say talk less, smile more, I want to go, talk less, smile more. Don't let them know what you're against or what you're for. Don't sing on the podcast. And there's even a playbill in here that they must have done for the kits or the bundles or whatever it was, and Lilia was delighted with that. I said, but it's yarn themed, and she's like, I don't care, I want the playbill for my book, for my journal. So she's getting that. And Hamilton stitch markers. This is by A Needle Runs Through It, and I've got the main Hamilton logo, Rise Up, I've got Angelica, and History Has Its Eyes on You. Another line. Oh my word, I love them so much. Oh, I love them so much. Oh, thank you so much, Claudia. Honestly, lovely. Thank you. Oh, and she sent me loads of her buttons and things. So I've got a load of dodgy bag, Mal pins. Oh my goodness. Look, so I've got one that says Frog It. So that's going to have to go on that granny stripe. And I've got quite a few of these, so if anyone would like to have one of the official Dodgy Bag Mal 2021 pins, if you joined in and you want to put one on your project, do get in touch in the comments or via email and let me know, and as long as I've got them, I'll send you one. I'll be keeping one, obviously, for me. I might put it on my Hamilton bag. What else has she sent me? Oh my goodness! Oh, I didn't spot this one before. Oh, that's amazing. Ah! Oh, I love it. Look. Vaccinated crocheter. That's me. I'm a vaccinated crocheter. Oh, I love that, Claudia. Oh, my camera's not happy. It doesn't want to focus on me. getting its own back on me for overheating it. Vaccinated crocheter, that is brilliant. And then she sent me a Yarn Loving Crochet Sisters one. I might give one of these. She sent me a couple of these. I might give one of these to my actual sister. Thank you so much for all of those, Claudia. Like I say, if you would like, I've got about, I'd say five of those dodgy bag things. So leave me a comment or drop me an email and I'll just do like the first 5 people or something if you would want one. So that's my other incoming thing. And then the next thing is a new book, which leads us nicely onto books and stuff. So I mentioned that I went on a little visit to Waterstones with my friend Sarah, and it was just lovely. And we both treated ourselves to a new book whilst we were there. And I got The Strawberry Thief by Joanne Harris. Is it Joanne or Joanna? Joanne Harris. She is the author who wrote Chocolat, and this is sort of equally got that sort of magical feel, and it's set in France again. And I just really like the idea of it. It has good reviews, and I've heard of it before and often thought it might be a good book to read. So I bought that thinking that I might take that away with me on holiday to read. We'll be in Scotland, not France, but still. Or maybe I'll save it for next time we go to France, when that will be, who knows, but I'd love to get back to France again. So I bought this, that's my new book. I'm still currently reading The Valley of Horses by Jean Owl. Someone told me how to say it. This is the second book in the Earth Children series, of which there are 6, all equally massive. Really enjoying it. It gets a little bit hard to get through sometimes because it's so detailed, but the characters and the story win out every time, and I really am enjoying it. And look how close I am to finishing. That's where my bookmark is. So I'm nearly there. And then when I finish this, I'm going to read a few shorter books, because so I can have that satisfaction of finishing things, because I've been reading this for a long time. So my next book is going to be one my sister has lent me. My Sister, the Serial Killer. I'm not sure what she's trying to tell me. It's by Oyenkan Braithwaite. And my sister said I won't be able to put it down. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. It's a lot shorter. It's about, I think about 300 pages shorter than the book I'm currently reading. So I'll probably finish that quite a bit quicker. So those are the books that I wanted to mention. Listening to. So I finished Back to Nature by Chris Packham and Megan McGubbin, and I absolutely loved it. Loved it. I learned so much, and it was something I just kept listening to and just really enjoyed. I loved the information they gave. I loved the stories they told. I loved what I learned, and it really changed my perspective on what we're doing to the environment, and made me think about things that I'm planting in my garden, things I should be planting in my garden, things I shouldn't be planting in my garden, and things I can do to help with wildlife, declining wildlife. So I'd really recommend that, especially if you're in the UK. If you're in the UK, basically, it is very UK based. I downloaded off the back of that Chris Packham's autobiography, which is called Fingers in the Sparkle Jar. But I've returned it, which I've never done with an audiobook before, not because it wasn't a good book. It sounded amazing, but it is written in such a descriptive way that having it read to me just didn't work. I couldn't concentrate on it. It's a book that I need to read with my eyes. So I'm gonna get the book basically once I've caught up on all the other ones I've got to read, and I need to download another book now, so I don't know what I'm going to get yet, but I'm toying with the idea of Hungry by Grace Dent. A few people recommended that one to me. I'm still listening to the Stubborn Light of Things podcast. It's so good, and I'm still listening to it on the week that it was recorded, the same week last year, which is working brilliantly, because it feels like I'm moving through the year with her. Loving that. And I'm still listening to Black and British, which I won't tell you about this time because I mention it every episode. It's by David Olusoga. It's about 26 hours long, and I'm down to under 6 hours remaining. We're up to the late 1800s, which is absolutely fascinating because, so basically at the moment I just said I wasn't going to talk a lot about it, but I'll just say this. The part of the book we're up to at the moment, he's talking about Jamaica in the late 1800s, which is fascinating because Dan's family on his father's side, so Dan's great-grandparents were Jamaican, and they would have been born in the late 1800s at the time that they're talking about in the book now in Jamaica. So it's absolutely fascinating to hear about, because it's kind of like Dan's history in a way, and to see what was going on at that time in the place where they lived and grew up, where his grandfather grew up. Yeah, so I'm watching Lucifer still. We're watching the latest series of Lucifer. It's a good one, really good, really enjoying it. Got my Mazikeen, by the way, is the yarn in this cardigan, which I've still got on, managed to wear it to the end of the podcast almost, is a character in Lucifer, and she's the coolest character. She's a demon, and she just keeps getting better and better. So it's been lovely to have this sort of been on the go whilst we've been watching it. So we've been watching Lucifer and enjoying that. And we've been watching Loki, but more like I've been coerced into watching Loki because Lilia really likes it and so does Dan, and I'm in the same room as them when they're watching it. So I'm watching Loki. I have to admit, it is quite good. Okay, I think we've made it to the end. I wonder if this will actually be under an hour. I doubt it. And finally, this is the bit where we just mop up everything that I've forgotten to mention. I've got some notes for this bit. I mentioned last time that I wanted to make a fabulous stash busting yellow granny jumper or cardigan, because I've got a load of 4-ply yellow yarn, and I was thinking if I could combine all of those yellow yarns, I could make the most fabulous sort of lounging about at home jumper. So I've been doing a bit of research, so I thought I'd show you. Mandy suggested to me, Mandy on Instagram suggested the Oma Goodness top by an Australian designer called Little Golden Nook. I should put a picture up, which is very nice. I very much like that. It is quite a cropped one. I would imagine you could make it longer though. So that's in the running. Then there's one that was in the Inside Crochet magazine that I was in. Now, when I say I was in Inside Crochet magazine, I'll show you what I mean. So this is issue 134, and the bit I'm in, this tiny bit here. But I'm still as excited as though it was a 4-page spread all about me. I can't believe my name is in an actual magazine. But in here there is a granny jumper pattern, which I can't find. Here it is, not a jumper, it's a cardigan. Oh. It's called the Gigi cardigan. The designer is called Holly Woodward, and I really like it. I really like it. Again, it is quite cropped. I will actually show you in a minute. Is there a better picture? That is, I mean, not a better picture, but a bigger picture. They normally do a bigger bit early on, don't they? One moment. Oh, that's not really a better picture because it's you can mainly just see the shirt. Anyway, this is the bigger picture. You can really see the sleeves. That's what I really liked. I liked that the sleeves came to that bunched in like that. You can see it's quite cropped. Here's the other picture. Actually, that is a better one because you can really get a sense of it there. So I like the fact that it's cropped around the wrist. And I like this. I like the non-granny bit here. I really like that. So I might just have a little read through the pattern, seeing as I've got the pattern, and see if that would be possible to just make it longer. I can't see why not. So I really like that one. That's a definite contender. It's, yeah, the Gigi cardigan. And then the other one was the Granny Go Round sweater by Iron Lamb. I quite liked that one, but I don't like the neck. I didn't want something up here. I quite like quite an open neck. And then, and I think this is the #1 contender of the moment, the Granny Square cardigan by Leonella Cavallos. I really like the look of that. I can't remember with any of these if they're paid for or free or whatever. Can't remember. But yeah, the Granny Square cardigan by Leonella Cavallos. Really like the look of that. That was the kind of thing I had in my mind. So those are my options. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got any better ideas, because yeah, it is something I would like to make. Oh, I'll tell you what else I haven't mentioned. I did a bag tutorial, so that was the last video on this channel. I mentioned last time that it was coming, and it did. I got it up on time when I wanted to. So it's for a little bag that looks like looks like but isn't, this one. So it's a really simple bag, so it's just, there's no box bottom, it just follows this curved shape, it's drawstring, and it's just the simplest little bag of all time. So I did a tutorial on that, and thank you so much to everyone that's left such lovely comments on that to say how much they found it useful, and you've been making the bags and finding them really easy to do, so that's great. So I'll put a link to that underneath. I'm still vlogging over on this little wonderful life, I've already mentioned that. Don't forget I have an Etsy shop that's linked underneath where I sell pins, enamel pins, my little "You Are a Little Drop of Wonderful" pin, and the pin my daughter Phoebe designed, which is "Have Happy Adventures," which is perfect for this time of year. Maybe you've got students that are off to do other things, maybe you run a youth club or guides or brownies or something like that, they're perfect. We do enamel pins and badges, which are really low cost. So yeah, hop on over there if you're interested. Thank you to everyone who's bought one, and everyone that sent messages and let me know that they've arrived and that you like them, and yeah, thanks for that. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone that's left such lovely comments, and it's lovely to hear from you. It's lovely to see you chatting with each other in the comments. And thank you to the people who've been buying me some Ko-fi or coffee. I will never know how to say that correctly, but thank you. That means a lot to me. The money goes back into the podcast. It means I can afford to post prizes and stuff like that, so I really, really appreciate that support. Thank you. And thank you just to everyone for your lovely comments and your likes. That really helps the channel when you interact with the videos. It tells YouTube that you're staying on YouTube, and YouTube likes it when people stay on YouTube. And even if you're just watching and you're, because you're watching on a telly or some other device where you can't press like or comment, that's the fact that you are there watching. Thank you so much for being here. It means so much to know that you're watching and enjoying, so thank you. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye.